everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the League of Europe Division 2. Don't mind me while I lock my door. I am QVR Killer, and we're here for round 4 at Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. And as you can see from the left-hand side, we are already some way into qualifying. Apologies because I had a disaster to deal with. But I'm joined by the delightful Ariel J. Cole. And you can see, J. Cole, we've got a bit of a wonky grid. Look at that. We've got Reservoir on top, T-Brum second, Cost Captain, that's Ben Jess third, Brent fourth, Championship leader Felipe is in fifth, last week's race winner Larkin down in 8th, Luco 5HD, a potential title challenger, down in 13th, and we've got 5 drivers still without times.
Yeah, it's kind of kicking off, to be honest. So I'm quite intrigued. First set of qualifying runs, it's very very close though. Top 4 all within 600ths of a second. So I think a couple other people are now doing their second runs. I know the likes of Miami Evans, Matty and RJ still yet to put a lap on time, same as Coxey. But I think the only one that's actually yet to have been out is Matty on a lap. So maybe one that we may need to keep our eye out for when he does make his way out. And I think he's in fact just coming out of the pits as I'm talking about him as we speak. But not only that, I can see that I think our championship leader, Mr. Ariel Felipe, is on board with him.
We are on board with him.
He's making his way down to him, up towards the chicane. First of the 2 DRS zones on the track, and now coming up to the second DRS zone. Luckily, the Alfa Romeo not getting in his way. Up towards the end of the second sector. Is he going to be up on his time? Currently sitting at P5 with 23.652, and he's 2 tenths off on his time, Jake.
That'll put him on pole position, won't it? But Marcio disqualified for blocking the pit lane exit. That's an odd one. But I'll just say, with Rex, getting out of the way, I don't know how you feel about this. I always say on commentary, I find it such an irritation when there's a car going off the track in front of me. Like if you're going deep at a corner, going completely off the track, completely messes up my turning and my braking. But let's see, didn't seem to disturb Nolan too much in the middle sector. What's he going to do through the last corner? That looked nice and tidy, straight on the gas, plays the left hand side, and it is pole position by thick end of a quarter of a second, a 23.3, quicker than I managed in Division 1 earlier this evening. We've got Evans Joshua on the lap, but he's backed off, he's 6 tenths down. Larkin, last week's race winner, has just started. He's coming through turn 2 and 3 now. 3, a bit counterintuitively, you actually don't want to do what Larkin did. You want to clobber that curb because it can really settle the car down. If you stray away from it, it can cause the car to bottom out a little bit. 700s down for Larkin's first sector, as the other Alfa Romeo, that is Rex, I apologise, just going for a little bit of a dizzy donut there at turn 5. If you can see anyone else on a lap who's close to finishing, Jack. I think most people have just started their laps. Reservoir is up by 600s through the first sector. I can't see anybody else. I think Larkin is furthest forwards.
It does look as if he might be. I'm not sure if Brent is. No, Brent definitely isn't. Hope is just come from first sector now. Yeah, no, I think you're right. So I think it is Larkin. That is going to be the next one across the line to actually complete a lap from the looks of things. Maybe even Coxey, I'm not too sure. Coxey's been validated on his lap. So yeah, it will be Larkin. He's now just making his way through the hotel section. Got a little bit of traffic out in front of him. Hopefully doesn't impede him. As yeah, there you go. The 2 AlphaTauris doing what they did very well last week of sitting in 1 and 2 for the time being. Of course, Reservoir out on a lap as well. But Larkin now making his way around the final corner and up towards the line. Comes last week's series winner. As into the wall he goes, completely shattering his front wing and any chances of a ball position for the time being. Going to stay down
Reservoir
in P11.
Matty's gone P3. I think Reservoir is going to make it. Well, it is already 2 AlphaTauris and 2 Ferraris. It's now AlphaTauri, Ferrari. Reservoir couldn't find the little bit he needed. I wonder... So I wonder if that was born of frustration for Larkin, because he had slipstream from his team at Miami in the middle sector and was still a quarter of a second down at the second sector split. So I wonder if that was just a little bit of frustration coming out there. But yeah, Cost Cap'n is missing a front wing, and he's got a 5 place grid penalty. And Lifebout is just vibing there on his in-lap. So that must have been a collision while they were both on flying laps. As T-Brum goes P2 there with a 23.346, and Nolan had a 2/10 lead. Everyone's now just slowly dragging their way back towards him again. As Brent crashes Brent's just done what Larkin did there. There's a nice little collection of carbon fibre there, and that Scream, P2. It's all happening at the last corner.
Certainly is, and Scream up into second position. That's well, if he can keep it there, then that's probably the best qualifying I've ever seen him do in the League of Europe in total. So hopefully for Scream, he's had a bit of rotten luck. I don't know if it's just actually a skill issue, as a lot of other people would say, but I would more say he's had quite a bit of rotten luck, not only just in this season, but in previous seasons as well. So we'll see if Scream's able to maybe try and maintain that second position, or at least in the top 3, and get a chance to try and fight for a win for this time around in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, a lot of other times now just made their way in. As you say, a lot of improvements. The top 13 all separating by 0.4 of a second. In fact, the top 17 all by 0.6 of a second. RJ and Miami, of course, being the outliers on that, but RJ is on a lap and Miami is on an out lap. More than likely for their final runs. I know that there's only 5 minutes left to go after the session, so yeah, RJ and Miami, we'll see what they're able to do within these last 5 minutes. Just probably going to stick on board with RJ though, because as I said, I think he is the only one on the lap at the moment.
He did improve the last time he crossed the line, but he only went to a 24, so I think he's done a quick lap. He's doing a slow lap, and then he's going to do another quick lap. Yeah, because he's weaving his tyres, but he's only got 50% ERS, so he's trying to get 2 laps out of this, which I think you and I will both know is ill-advised. The softs aren't particularly an enduring tyre. I think for the last runs, it's going to be the provisional poleman, Ariel Felipe, who's gone aggressive and gone early to start his final flying lap. Miami 4S is going to... Actually, yeah, Miami will just beat him to the line to open. So let's go on board with Miami 4S. 19th and last of the drivers who have set times so far and haven't been disqualified if we exclude Marcio. And let's see if he takes a little more aggressive than his teammate Larkin through turn 3. 4's a non-corner. You want to really chuck the car into 5 as much as you can. He's up by over a tenth and a half. 4th gear. A little way wide of the apex, but you can pick up the throttle so early. Miami not using as much of the track on the exit as I think he might have wanted to. What's Nolan done? He's 600 sound through the first sector. But, Nolan's using second gear jack through turn 5. I've never, ever seen someone do that. But clearly, he's on auto gears though, isn't he? Makes sense. Yeah. Man's a maniac. Let's check back in with Miami. There's a nice little, I don't know if you know it, but there's a dip in the track here that will completely bottom you out and cause you to scrub up a lot of speed. I think Miami's just driven all the way through it. But he's up by 0.6 of a second. That's going to throw him all the way up 1 position right now.
Yeah, no, it certainly will. And yeah, I mean, hopefully Miami didn't actually get hurt by that bottoming out corner there. But through the hotel section, I think this is probably the section he was struggling with the most. And looking at it at the moment, it's looking very nice so far as well, Jake. 2 more corners to go, and we'll see what Miami's able to do. Took penultimate corner very nicely as well. Cut the right amount of that track as well. Up towards the line comes Miami. 23.599, mid-23s, mid-table, not too bad to say the least. And our championship leader is just coming across the line now. It's an improvement, 23.0.
Once again, he puts that 1/4 of a second mark down to the rest of the field, who all of whom are in the pits, apart from Evans Joshua right now. The entire field, and I don't think I've ever seen the hive mind work quite like this, but apart from Evans, the entire field is leaving this remarkably late. They're all going to be so clustered together. One might think we've got a Alfa Romeo coming out of the pits. I think that is Rex. He's going to be the next one out, followed by RJ, and then the second Aston Martin Coxey. Got no one on a lap right now, so it is that talky bit. Let's go through the standings, Jack, because you said you had them to hand. Well, we've got about 60 seconds of time to fill.
Yeah, so Nolan still taking the lead at the moment. He's gone 55 points. He only managed to pick up 3 points last week at Japan. Not a very good display from him, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying that. As you say, last week's race for IERT Larkin. Currently sitting down in 16th at the moment in his qualifying, but he took the win last week and promoted up to second in the championship. Reserfi's in third with 37 points. I said Larkin's in 39 points, so I probably forgot to say that. Reserfi taking a second position last week, and he's on 37 points in third. Alex G, who's been promoted up to Division 1 reserve, but he's still sitting in fourth at the moment with 34 points. Luco 5HD in fifth with 31. Kos Kaplan or Ben JS in sixth with 30 points. Only racing 2 races so far this season as well, so it's not a bad feat whatsoever. In seventh is Evans with 28 points. Brent
Speaking of, the
Lifebout is in ninth with 20, and Sebrum in 10th with 16 points.
Just as you said, Evans, literally to the second. The man spun round at turn 1. I did that in Division 1 earlier. There is no shame there. Who's next? I think it's going to be Rex, is just starting his lap with one of the Red Bulls. Why do I keep wanting to start every car with Alf? That is RJW videos, so they're going to be the first two to set competitive lap times at the end. Evans is a write-off. He's going to be starting no better than 13th. Lucky for some, Kos Kappen is just starting. I don't think we can discount him from a good qualifying session yet. He's looked very nifty this season, I think, has QVR Kos Kappen, and he's in P8 right now, but he's on the coattails of that front row, only 100th between Scream and T-Brum. So let's see what Rex can do. Down in P17 right now, hasn't really got a lap together. A 10th would find him a handful of places. He'd go up to P14 if he can do that, and dethrone his teammate. And where's he at through the middle sector? Is he going to follow Miami through the bump? I think he may have just avoided it. I think it's the blue stuff where the bump is, and what's Rex done through the middle sector. He's up only by a 10th. Ross is actually, RJW Videos, was up by over a quarter second in the first sector, up by 4/10 in the middle sector, so that will put him in a similar ballpark around Lick's territory. And who is that that's retired? That's IRT Taupe.
Yeah, and then also speaking of Licks has also just spun around as he made his way on towards the first DRS straight, so his best is now going to be P14. But Rex round the final corner now to complete the final runs of this. 23.635 for the American. Pretty decent lap time. Evans, as you say, has made his way into the pits. I believe that was RJ making it up into P9 just behind his teammate. Ben JS has just invalidated on his lap, although he's going very, very slowly
Scream's
as well.
improving.
So P8 is the best he's going to be in. Let's have a look at Scream though. As you say, he's improving and closing up to the back of the championship leader. Round the final corner he comes, as that is an Aston. Oh, and he's gone around as well. I was going to say, Has also went around. I think that was life out. Ferrari Matty up to full.
Matty's immediately bettered by Loco 5HD for 4th. Resify stayed P6. That surprised me. Brent into P2. The Flying Dutchman surging his way up there. A Dutchman in a Mercedes. Never thought I'd see the day. Licks is not going to improve because he's spun. And it's just ERT Larkin. My former teammate and reigning D2 Constructors Champion. He's just got 2 corners to go now. He's got his teammate Miami 4S just in front of him. He's already completed his lap. I don't think this is going to be threaten the top 5 or 6 or so for Larkin, but he keeps it on the wall this time and goes P10. And it is Red Bull McLaren in the middle of the field there. But it is Ariel Felipe and DTR Brent Jag on the front row.
Yeah, Nolan, championship leader. Probably looking to try and extend that one from Larkin at the moment. Larkin down in 10th position. Not really the position he wants to be in. I know he has gone quicker around this track than that 23.5 he's done, so hopefully he can try and make a little bit of that up in the race. But yeah, very impressive from both of the Mercedes and from Scream. Scream 3rd. As I said, I think that's his highest starting position I've seen him in League of Europe.
I will put money now on the fact that Scream does not finish this race in the top 10. I will put money on that. In chat, we've got Out of D1 fame saying life is running crazy wings. He will be a bullet on the straight. So that's the only comment we've had so far in chat. But I think that's a nice blend there. I think Nolan will be looking at this and thinking he can run away and hide with Brent, Scream, T-Brum behind him, and then his teammate, and then Matty. I don't think there's anyone in that who I think will challenge him over a race distance given his championship position. But it is him on pole. From Brent, from Scream, T-Brum, then Luke, Matty, Resify, Lifeboat we just mentioned with Crazy Wings and P8. Kos Kappen will have a 5-place grid penalty, so he'll start 14th. Larkin moves up to 9th, RJ to 10th, Miami to 11th, Resify to 12th, Sweeros to 13th. Chris stays 15th, then Taupe, Evans, Licks, Coxey and Marcio, who of course was disqualified. And that is your grid, and I think if D1 is anything to go by, J. Cole, my man, we're expecting hards all the way.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised. Although saying that, it looks very, very cloudy, and it's even in daytime as well. So I wonder, we haven't been told it, could there be a spot of rain on the horizon, Jake? We've seen it before in Abu Dhabi. Could it happen again?
We have seen it before. I've not had the privilege of driving in Abu Dhabi in the rain, but I would be sad to miss out if we do get some rain. But hopefully, if some comes, it throws up a nice spicy treat, but it's probably just overcast, isn't it? I don't have permission to see the D2 chat in the Discord, so if anyone has informed of any rain, they've not done it in stream chat. But
I can see now. No, there's no one's mentioned anything to do with any rain. So
disappointing. Well, we can still hope some comes. If we see any crazy long first stints, maybe we'll get something. So let's have a look at the tyres then. One of 4 drivers on mediums, including our pole sitter. The next 13 drivers are all on hards. Chris and Tope are on medium, Lix is on medium, and then Evans, Coxey, Marcio also on hards. That is the conventional wisdom, but then we saw in Division 1 also, didn't we, that even an early safety car can throw a spanner in the works. If it hadn't been for that second safety car, those people who started on hards and didn't pit, the likes of Campbell, Selly, Alp, could have been a little bit screwed over, couldn't they? So I don't think it's necessarily as much of a guarantee as it looks like the hard medium's the better strategy, because if you damage your front wing, unless you've picked the harder tyre selection at the start of the session, if you get some early wing damage, you have to go on to mediums and you are not making it to the end of the race. You are going to be royally effed in the b-hole, yes. So I think there's a little bit of wisdom in what Chris and Tope and Lix are doing in being at the back and going on the mediums, because if they know if they get damaged, they can just switch to the hards. Other people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I see that point. What I'm quite surprised at is our pole sitter starting on the set of the mediums. I feel like he had the pace over the rest of the guys, and it's the reason why he's on pole. I know he wants to do it so he can get a good getaway, but I feel like Nolan, despite also leading the championship, I feel like he would have been okay with going on hards. He'd be on the same strategy as everybody else. He'd be in front of everybody else as well. I don't know. I feel like that could, if there isn't a safety car, and I feel like this could come back to bite him later on in the race. But I don't know. I've been proven wrong before by him. I'm more than likely will be proven wrong by him tonight. If I'm having to go with anyone to take a race with night, I reckon it would be him for tonight. I reckon Nolan will take it. But I would like to see Scream in the podium.
I won't disagree with you there. I think he's banking on being much quicker and being able to do a disappearing act on the rest of the field as Marcio comes into position now. So we've got 29 laps ahead of our drivers. It's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix early season race this time round. It's not our finale. We've got championship leader Nolan on the left. You got Brent on the right of your screen. It looked like Brent had a bit of a squirmy getaway there, and Nolan's safely covered off the lead as they come in towards turn 1. And look at the scream going around the outside there, but it's T-Brum into P3, Matty and Luke and Resify, and who's getting swallowed up in there in the midfield. The 2 Red Bulls are battling away. I'm getting awful camera angles. Kos Kaplan is going to have a surge down the outside. He's lost a place already from his grid penalty, and the McLarens are jostling away in the midfield. Oh, Lix is gone at turn 5, but that was all clean. I'm losing my words because I was trying to pick out some action, but they were all actually very well behaved as Lifebout passes Resify, perhaps using some of those terrorist wings. Oh, and look at Matty up the inside of that screen, nearly tagging the inside corner of that Williams car. But we have had a very, the word I'm going to use is diplomatic start, Jack.
You say that though, Ben JS just tagging the back of Rex, or just went past him,
contact
off the track. So here we go, they're going 3 wide, they're going almost 4 wide. Rex trying to go around the outside of Ben JS, a little bit of a tap there from, I think that was Tope onto Ben JS. RJ's managing to hold it around the outside of Tope, and I think he's going to get that position on him as well. Ben JS now under threat from both of the Aston Martins. Evans around the outside through the triple right-handers. Ben manages to hold it on with those 2 as well, and both of the Aston Martins still both side by side, but Evans is going to hold that position. It looks as if the Red Bulls had a bit of a shambolic start between them, but other than that, McLaren's got away quite well. Lifeboat got away quite well as well. That screen, not exactly a very good start from himself. What have you just seen there, Jake?
It was just Coxey nearly sailing into the back of his teammate Evans Joshua into the last corner at the end of the first lap. Sweeros is something that happened to him, didn't it, early on, because he's all the way down. Felipe has done his. He has checked out of Hotel Yas. He is 1.3 seconds clear of DTR Brent, and the Mercedes are doing a good job themselves. Let's have a look at the position change. Brum and Scream have swapped places, as has Matty and Luke, but no big gainers really in the first lap. Chris is up 4, but no one has had a super amazing Senna-esque start here on the first couple of laps. So Chris is going to have a look at Miami 4S though on the inside of turn 6, and he says thank you very much for that one, but Miami's going to have the inside line for turn 7, then gets pinched in the apex. You're never going to be able to put it out over that curve. He has to concede the place, as I think maybe perhaps Mercedes aren't holding position a little bit, because T-Brum looks very close to the back of Brent here as they come around the new turn 9, and no one's leading Jack now, nearly at 2 seconds, and a big moment for Lifeboat on the exit of turn 9, and Reservoir is just going to sneak around the outside there as they come towards turn 12, and the Ferrari nips through and recovers his starting position. But all is well in AlphaTauri land. Nolan with a 2-second lead. Oh, and Brent's gone. Second to last corner, and I feel that's not the first spin we're going to see today.
No, it definitely won't be. Unfortunately for Brent as well, he was running quite well obviously in those first couple of laps, but yeah, very unfortunate. Brent now down into P16, and pretty much T-Brum now up into second. That screen back onto the podium. DRS is now going to be enabled, and T-Brum 2.5 seconds behind Nolan. The Sweet Ross going around out of the penultimate corner as well. The second person in the same lap to go around out of that penultimate corner. Scream, I think, manages to just about get DRS onto the back of T-Brum as well. So we'll see the DRS train, as you can see it just on the screen as well, just running all the way down through turn number 5. A little bit of action that looks like it's going to go down. Koskappen versus Ben JS, very close to the back of each other. Tope, I think Mike is thinking of maybe going for a move on Ben JS potentially, but no, thinks better of it and has to back out of that one. The two Red Bulls just running a little bit in line with each other. I think RJ is going to try and help his teammate out as much as possible to make sure that Tope can't pass him, and Brent making a bit of an error allows Coxie to go straight down the inside and get that move done on him, as well as probably Marcio.
Yes, I think Marcio is going to surge up the inside of Brent there, and he's having a difficult couple of laps. He's Brent. He's lost another couple of places there, but he's going to try to tuck back underneath Marcio, swing around the outside of 10 and 11. You can't do that. This track's not really wide enough to force two cars through side by side there, unless one of them wants to get murdered into the braking zone. And Matty is looking fairly hungry on the back of us. Oh, and Rex has gone a second to last corner. That's said it wasn't going to be the first spin when we saw Brent do it, and we have seen one a lap later. Yeah, Matty's looking in a good position. I think he's not made too much of an impact so far this season, I want to say, in the Ferrari, the new REL driver, newish REL driver, but he's looking in a really good place right now in this race. And I think you got to look at that group as Chris makes a diving move on Larkin and gets undercut by the McLaren, and I keep interrupting myself. But what I was going to say is I think anyone in this group, from T-Brum really down to Larkin, Miami, RJ, Koskappen, I think any of that, like 10, 11 cars, is really in for a shout on the podium today, depending on how things go with safety cars and penalties and collisions and spins and whatnot. More so than perhaps you might see at a normal race. We have got DRS now, we've had it for a lap, and is Larkin going to try fight back at the back of the D3 champion here? I thought, I can indeed, I can see a red light blinking away. Lifebout is already running out of DRS here as Marcio and Lix have come to blows at turn 6 and 7.
Yeah, it was Marcio was down the no, it was actually Marcio and Brent. Marcio was down the inside, having the inside for the exit of the chicane to come on the second DRS straight, and Brent was on the outside. I think just kind of pinched him towards the apex. That same sort of scenario we saw with Miami earlier on, but this time around Brent kind of tapped him, went out very wide. Marcio had a half spin and allowed that to happen. Lifeboat going very wide out of the final corner as well, and Chris just closing now up to the back of Lifeboat, and also means that Lifeboat has lost DRS to Reservoir out in front, so Lifeboat is going to be put under an immense amount of pressure from not only from Chris but from Larkin and from Miami, because they're relatively close as well. But Chris doing very well on these mediums. Both him and Nolan, I think, are the only two that have actually done very well to start off with on these set of medium tyres, and obviously they'll go on the hards towards the end. They've just got to hope a safety car comes out and it gets timed right so that they can pit and well, go to the end on the set of the hards. But here we go, Chris probably going to go down the inside of Lifeboat, going down in towards the chicane. Mediums versus the hards, brakes a lot later, does Chris, goes for a bit of a switchback going on Lifeboat. Chris is going to have the inside to basically just puts him almost off of the track. Lifeboat trying to hold it around the outside, not really trying to hold it around the outside, and Larkin getting a move done on Chris as well. Lifeboat going for a move back again on Chris, and unfortunately for Chris, the move worked out. Saying that though, he's dove it back down the inside in turn number 9 through the looping left-hander and gets the move done. Lifeboat unfortunately tried to take more of an advantage of that with DRS, but didn't make it work. Larkin though definitely took advantage of
Oh,
that.
and Lifebout's gone straight on at turn 12. He's going to have to be careful here to hold off the other McLaren of Miami. I can't see where he is. He's around the outside of turn 14. And Lifebout's lost 3 places on this lap. Those super skinny wings not doing him too many favours. And look at Koskappen surging up the inside of the last corner. That was opportunistic in the extreme, but he made it work. And it's also going on in the midfield on this lap. Larkin did tremendously well there. Not to neglect, he gained 2 places there in one move down the back straight towards turn 9. So he turned an opportunity into a success there. And Resify is now one on the prowl just ahead of him, 4 tenths behind Luco 5HD. And Brum has gapped Scream here, you might know. It's just a tiny bit, but I think Scream is using some ERS to get back in. And we just look at the ERS situation. It's just identical between P2 and P3. And Matty's actually in the best situation on 56%. Luke's even better on 67. Resfine 54. Larkin 37. Chris is down on 11. So making those moves on the mediums have cost him in ERS. But I think this lap looking a little bit more settled.
Yeah, it's looking that way, isn't it? Chris, you can see that little red flashing light on the back of his Alpine as well. Christmas was just over a month ago now, Chris, so you're a little bit too late with that, as Marcio and Brent still both side by side, having another little battle between the pair of them. Marcio going a little bit wide out of the exit of turn number 9, though, might have just given him a bit of a warning on that, but RJ just sticking to the back of Lifebout for the time being. You can just see those low wings are really hurting Lifebout out of the third section, because look at how close RJ can get to the back of him. And I know RJ, he's going to be screaming right now that all this is happening. Lifebout using a bit of DRS to stay up ahead of RJ for the time being, and already dropping out of DRS to Ben JS out in front of him, and goes very wide out of turn number 1. If you're sportsmanlike, you kind of have to give that position up to RJ. That's just not, you can't really keep the position like that. And if I was Lifebout, I'd more likely have to give that position back, although I don't think he's going to have to give it back, because I feel like RJ might actually get him down on the straight, especially with DRS and with Lifebout with barely any ERS to his name either.
Well, we shall see. Here comes RJ. Gaps at 4 tenths per second right now. But, even without DRS, Lifebout is keeping, and without any ERS, Lifebout is keeping the gap. He lost half a tenth to RJ down the straight. He's just so slow through the corners. It's going to be a Lifebout mistake, I think, that's going to give this place to RJ, unless RJ decides to just dump everything. And in fact, he's dumping everything here. Here we go. RJ, is he going to look around the outside? And I think he's got the grip. He's got the wings on that Red Bull just to take that clean around the outside. In fact, he didn't even need to. He was ahead by the corner. And Lifebout's got nothing to fight with here. That wing decision has not paid dividends today. And Larkin has gapped Chris's DRS there. Look at that. I wonder if there's going to be some... Oh, and Lifebout has actually lost another 2 places to Taupe and to Coxey. He's made another mistake in there around turn 13 or so. I wonder if those mediums for Chris are just starting to give up a little bit. As we just see there, he had a big wobble coming out of the last corner. He's got to be careful if he's not under the attack from the other McLaren. And Larkin, just taking note of him as well. He's not just gapped Chris, he's dragged himself to within a whisker of that DRS train in the battle for P2. So don't count Larkin out of this one for a solid podium finish yet. And Chris and Miami, if they can stay with, we could see this group close right back up. And just to finish off what I was saying about the mediums going off, Nolan's gap is coming down, starting to come down a little bit to T-Brum and to Scream. It had stabilised there around 2.8, and now it's coming down a little bit as well, 2.5 now.
Yeah, no, certainly is. Luke just out of the exit of the chicane, having a massive wobble. It allows Resify to go straight down the inside, and now Resify up into 5th, up ahead of the AlphaTauri of Luke. Luke now down into 6th, and that might now bring Larkin into play with DRS. Maybe on the next lap, we'll see the McLaren potentially get that DRS onto the back of the AlphaTauri. But yeah, Luke making that massive mistake allowed Resify on through. Also, just to touch on what you're saying, yeah, look at that gap now. It's now down to 2.5 seconds. 2.4. Those mediums are definitely going off by now, Jake, and I feel like the hards are definitely the tyre you want to be on, but it's just a case of that he needs to stay on these mediums just for a little bit longer so he can do the medium hard stint. The thing for Nolan now, though, is that I'm sure he is hoping that a safety car comes out, because that will be his only saving grace to go on the hards to the end of the race.
And speaking of, we've got a spinner out the last corner. That is Marcio. No, it's not his Lifebout. The Haas, his race going from bad to worse. He's now down 9 places. Brent will be glad someone else is bottling today. That Scream's not really looking to make too much of an impression on T-Brum, is he? I think they're just happy to run in formation, these guys, right now. Look at Larkin, 1.001, and he has got DRS actually on the back of Luke. So he has brought this group into play. And if they start battling, they're going to bring Miami and Chris and whatnot with them. And Reservoir just went very deep there into turn 6. And while the other Ferrari of Matty, 4/10 back, I'm egging for a move, Jack, in this leading group. And it's not particularly forthcoming. I feel like we're just having to be a little more patient.
Yeah, I suppose it is a case of just being a little bit patient with that, but at the same time, I feel like that's all being caused because Scream isn't really closing up to the back of T-Brum, and because that's happening, I mean, Scream still gets the DRS off of the back of T-Brum, which then means Matty gets a DRS off of Scream, and it's just one long DRS train, which now seems to have kind of split up slightly. It looks as if Reservoir closed up to the back of a group of Matty, Scream and T-Brum. Red Luke has not been able to capitalise on that, and Larkin also dropping back slightly from Luke. So again, we're seeing a repeat of what we normally see within Division 2, but usually it's within the top 5. This time it's from 6th, 7th, 8th as well. Miami is close to the back of Chris, but again, not looking to make any sort of move. In fact, the one that is looking to make a move out of these lot is Mr. QBR Crosscap and Ben JS. He's very close to the back of Miami. It depends what kind of wings he's running, because he could be running some very low wings, and we might see him go for a move on Miami. In fact, I think he started using a little bit of DRS, but I think it's up to Miami. You can see that red flashing out on the back of Chris's car. Miami's going for this move.
Best form of defence is attack, isn't it? And there goes Miami up the inside for P8, and there's a little bit of wheel barging there between himself and the Division 3 champion, and Chris might have just got himself a second place there because he's just got a little bit out of shape, and Koskappen is going to put the afterburners on, and he's through into P9 as well. So double trouble for Chris on this particular lap, but like you say, they're all splitting out of those 1 second gaps. Reservoir is barely hanging on. We've got a spinner, that is Marcio. No, it's not. It's Lifeboat again on the exit of turn 8, and he's going to fall into the clutches of Rex as Brent passes Evans, continuing his march back up the field. But look at the Scream now. He's under so much pressure from Matty through the flat out final corner. Felipe has come into the pits now. He's done enough of those medium tyres. Has he done enough in this first stint to save himself in the second half of the race when these guys are all on mediums? Of course, if there's a safety car in the next, 7 laps, Jack, I think you've got to say Felipe is going to be a little bit ruined here. And we've got another yellow. This time it is Marcio. And he's going to fall right back into the clutches of his teammate, who I think hit him through the last corner and then hit him again. Lifebout goes off the track, and Rex says thank you very much. The Hasses tripping over themselves today and then tripping over each other. Here comes Matty on the back of Scream, and Scream is hounding T-Brum as well. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 6. Scream goes deep round the outside of 6, switches to the inside for 7. T-Brum can do nothing about it. He's got to be careful. He doesn't lose a place to Matty, who's in behind. Matty is dumping all of his airs now. He wants to get a shift on, and Scream could be losing 2 places here. And are we going to get a 3 wide? Is Matty going to box himself in, though? They're going to spread one by one, and there's double contact between each of them. T-Brum just about hangs on, and Reservoir will nick through the inside, will he, into P3. T-Brum's got the inside for 11 and 12. Oh, and contact up ahead for the lead as well. Look at this. This is music to Felipe's ears if he's in party here. Matty and Scream bumping wheels, tyre face to tyre face. Reservoir bringing himself back in that. T-Brum's lost 3 places on this lap. Luco 5 is nearly getting in on the action as well, and they're pushing each other around the last corner. Bren gets a penalty down in the backfield, but I think that is going to be, said, music to Nolan's. Miami's got at the last corner. He's going to lose a handful of places, but Felipe 17.6 seconds off the lead. He could be having a big lead by the time these guys come in. And look at Reservoir all over the back of the Scream here. It could be a Ferrari 1-2 very, very soon. Is it going to be a surge into turn 5? No, it's not. He's going to bide his time. Goes a little bit deep, cuts back underneath. He's got to be careful of T-Brum just behind him, and Luke behind him, and Larkin and Koskappen looking like lurking predators in the background. And here comes Reservoir now. He is going to pass the Scream, and Scream I think is only going to lose 1 place, and breathe, Jack, and breathe.
I've got to say though, what a move that was from Matty on the race lead against Screamers. Yeah, there you go, Lifeboat once again going around at turn number 3. But yeah,
T-Brum.
T-Brum's out. T-Brum has hit the wall And
Oh,
that's now a
Felipe.
full-course safety car.
Felipe.
Nolan is going to be fuming.
But we saw this situation in Division 1, didn't we, where the hard runners pit for mediums just a little bit before they were ready. And, you know, these guys are going to be playing, they're going to be playing Russian roulette with the puncture come the end of the race if we don't have another safety car. 17 laps on the mediums is going to be, well, they're going to be around 70%, aren't they? So they'll probably make it, but they'll be in a dire state. And I think this, even though it ruins Felipe with track position, this does bring him some more parity with the tyres, and Resify is going to be fuming here.
Yeah, he will, because he was so close to the back of him. Chris picking up the 3 seconds after, and I think that's a glitch penalty, because it looked as if it was when it was going into the pits. So I think that's a glitch penalty for him. Yeah, Nolan is going to be staying out. Is he going to be able to jump up ahead of the rest of the guys? Of course, he's still going to have to stick to Delta until he reaches the safety car. They're all making their way out of the pits now. I think Matty is going to be our race leader. He's making his way around the first corner now. They're both side by side of each other. I think Matty is going to inherit the race lead. He certainly is. So after that, Matty is into the race lead, despite obviously going under or pitting under the safety car on this one. Very unfortunate for Nolan, because he's now down in second, but that tyre life advantage towards the end of the race is where it's going to come back for Nolan. So as long as Nolan can play this patiently, he's not out of it by any means. He is not out of it. But Matty now has an opportunity to try and just surge away from Nolan, and Nolan unfortunately is now going to be starting to be eaten up by the rest of the medium runners when that safety car does come in, Jay.
He certainly will. I think if he can get through well, we saw, didn't we? It took about 6 or 7 laps for his medium to sort of suffer in relation to those behind him. Same for Chris. So I think if Nolan can get to around lap 18, lap 19, in a favourable position, I'm not sure what that constitutes at this exact moment in time. I think he's in a good position. I think winning the race will be a challenge, though. That is my instinct. Just checking in on who that's really benefited. Kost Kappen has gained 8 places since the start of the race. Chris is up 7, so he maximised that early medium stint by staying out a little bit longer. Up 9 for Coxie as well. Most people have made gains, haven't they? In the top 11, everyone's made a gain apart from Scream, who's down 1. It's the big losers, the Lifebout, Brent. Miami's down 3. He would have got held behind Larkin, though. Rex is down 3. Sweeros had that lap 1 spin. But what this does give is people like Marcio, Lifebout, Sweeros, Lix, it gives them a chance to reset and go, right, let's go again. I know in D1 I was in that situation, Gary's in that situation, we had early damage, we had bogus pit stops or whatever that we were forced to make. And it does clear your head a little bit, I think, when you get a safety car in the situation, because you can say to yourself, right, the last 13 laps doesn't matter. We can just start again from here. Fresh opportunity. And you know what LOE is like with safety cars. Once they go in, Jack, everyone trips over themselves.
Yeah, they certainly do. I guess it's the case of, like you're saying, they can just sort of reset. They can go again. Lifeboat will be at the very back of the grid. I think he's just sort of getting his wing changed as well. So Lifeboat will join them back on the end of the grid. But yeah, I mean, this is now going to give an opportunity, as I say, to see what these guys in the mediums can do in comparison to what Nolan can do on the hards. The same with Chris. Both of those guys had a very good start on a set of the medium tyres. Now they're both on the hards. It's now how they're going to handle the rest of these guys out in front and behind them as well. Because Nolan had a very good start, he got about a 3-second gap up ahead of the rest of the guys. And those tyres, after I think it was about 8 laps, just started to die for him. So if we see something similar with that with the rest of the medium runners, as I say, Nolan really isn't out of it. And like you say as well, Jake, if he is still in a attainable position, even like at lap 20, lap 21, Nolan definitely isn't out of this. And I feel like we might even need to see him potentially take a win. I think that other AlphaTauri, Luke as well, I know he could be decent on his tyres, so I think Luke could also potentially pick himself up a podium.
And I also think we're going to get a very late safety car in this lap call right now, because Lifebout is catching up to Lix at a rate of knots. I think the next 5 seconds or so we might get, if we can get within a couple, we could get a very, there we go, very late in this lap, and Matty is going to back off immediately. He's holding the pace at 70, 80 kph. When's he going to go? If I was him, I'd play it nice and safe, go out of the last corner. He's in a good position. He's got a car and hards behind him. He's got the best seat in the house, the best advantage. He doesn't need to try and do anything too fancy here. And indeed, he just goes out of the last corner, and he still managed to catch Nolan napping a little bit. And Nolan, in fact, is quite vulnerable to the screen as they come towards turn 1. But it's such a short braking zone from 7th to 4th, you can't really do much there. You have to get up very early in the morning to send it into turn 1, or hope they've got very, very old tyres. And I wonder, is the Scream going to fancy a little lunge into turn 5 here? He's within a couple of tenths, he's using his ERS. This will be his best chance if he's going to go for it, but he's going to hold back on this occasion and set himself up perhaps for a move into turn 6. We've got any moves further down. Brent is passing Taupe into turn 5, but otherwise, like it was on the first start, Jack, they've all been very well behaved.
Certainly have. Miami now trying to go for a move on Evans as well down the grid, as well as Taupe looking for a move on Brent as well. Taupe, of course, the only other one on the set of the hard compound tyre. Evans down the inside of Miami, Taupe down the inside of Brent. A little bit of contact. Evans hitting the back of Taupe. Because of Taupe trying to go down the inside of Brent and Evans was on the inside of Miami, it allowed Miami to just surge it around the outside of Evans, and now Miami going to try and go for a move on Taupe now. Down towards turn number 9, are we going to see it down the inside of Scream and Nolan as well, both side by side. Miami down the inside gets the move done on Taupe as well. Nolan having to go around the outside of the triple right-handers. Scream down the inside of them, nicely done from the German, now up into second, but because of Nolan now putting up that fight against Scream, it's put Scream 1.2 seconds behind Matty, and Nolan lets his teammate through. Smart thing, smart move. Larkin though is going to try and take a bit of capitalisation on that, going down the inside and towards the final corner. Nolan not really going to have the traction out of it in comparison to the McLaren next to him, and that's now him down into 5th position. Unfortunately, dumping it down the inside. That's not what you want to do.
Rezify absolutely T-boned Felipe, and I was very generous to the man when he won at China, but that was pure idiocy trying to go up the inside of Larkin there. I think he sort of flapped a little bit, and he was like, he realised very late in the day that, hang on, this is Larkin, I need to fight this guy for the championship, and he just thought, I'll stick my nose in, I'll leave it hanging there, I'll force Larkin to go a little bit deep. But you can't just go into those situations and just stick the front end of the car in and hope the other guy gets out of the way. If you're the car that's being overtaken, there comes a point where you are obliged to let the other one go, and I think that was where Felipe found himself. He should have hedged his bets. I think his mistake was 3 corners before when he decided to let Luke go. I think he should have used Luke as a rear gunner. I don't think he needed to be that generous, because he just left himself vulnerable to a horde of medium runners. And speaking of hordes of medium runners, here's Miami going around the outside of Brent at turn 9. I know Noel's going to watch us back, and he'll be in my DMs after the race, giving his side of the story, but it's not that deep, lad. Here comes Miami, tapping the back of Brent there through turn 12, and has to concede a little bit there. So it's now Matty who leads the race by 2 seconds now from the screen. Luke's in 3rd, Larkin is 4th, Koskappen is 5th, Chris is 6th, RJ is having a beautifully quiet race, running in P7 right now. Coxey is up in 8th, he's up 11 places, and on the same strategy as everybody else as well. And Brent is now back into the top 10. I feel too scared to even pick out a potential podium from this. I don't know how you feel, but actually I'll ask you, what was your take on the Felipe Larkin collision?
I'm in agreement at the moment as well. I'm in agreement. I think Nolan tried to I think that was a bit too forceful. I think if he would have just sort of stuck back, because he's on the set of the hards compared to the set of the mediums, he had the better traction as, just real quick, RJ down the inside of Chris. Bit of a Verstappen-esque move on Chris as well, down in towards the chicane, and now up into 6th is the other Red Bull. I suppose it's a bit fitting for that as well. But Coxey now also trying to go for a move on Chris. It's these two once again. They came in together. They came to blows in Japan. Coxey's going to look for a move around the outside on Chris through the looping left. Chris going very sort of deep through the loop as well. Coxey touches the back of the car. Evans and Miami both side by side as well. Miami were out on the outside for the triple rights. Evans down inside as Miami going for a switch down on the triple rights as well. It looked on, but unfortunately didn't make it work for himself. But yeah, Chris and Coxey both side by side of each other. And once again, another repeat of Japan. Luckily didn't end up coming into proper blows this time, but again, I don't feel like it's over, especially considering that Chris is on the set of the hards and Cox is on the set of the mediums. Evans setting the fastest lap of the race. And yeah, I think it's all now going to kick off, Jay, because DRS has of course been enabled.
Miami just caught a massive slide as he was coming through turn 14. You wouldn't have put money, would you, on lap 18 of this race, 5 laps in, to see Nolan 6 places below Lifebout, but there we are. Shows how quickly things can change. Koskappen is looking like he's just sizing up possibly ERT Larkin, but then you can say the same about Larkin and Luke, and you say the same about Luke on screen. And we've got Brent and Coxey contact there, and Chris has gone round in this as well. I think I caught that the very tail end of that, but I think Chris had his own moment, and then Brent just kind of sent it on Coxey and completely missed his braking point. Is what I think happened. I don't think Chris was involved. It just coincidence that it happened at the same time. And Miami and Rex through turn 9. Is Miami going to try the same little switchback he tried last lap around? It was the most audacious move I've ever seen, I think, at that corner potentially, but not. He's going to settle. Doesn't make a mistake this time through turn 14, through the flat out of 15, and it goes very wide there. We'll pick up a warning, but it's all a little bit scrappy out there, but not for Matty MP26, Jack. He's got a 3-second lead.
I was just about to say as well, Matty's just had, I think he's just having a nice little Sunday drive. But NJS going very wide out of turn number 1. It allowed his teammate to go straight on through as well and play Rory Gunner for his teammate, especially with a penalty to his name as well. Brent retires in the pits, and our third retiree of the race so far. Of course, Team Brum out of the chicane that we're just making, or the leaders are making their way down to now. Reservoir onto the side of Felipe, and now Brent into the pits as well. But Luke so close to the back of Scream, and Scream just hasn't been able to have the pace that Matty has had out in front as well. And now he's going to be put under pressure from Luke, and Luke has about 80% ERS to play with. To be fair to them though, Scream has about 60% to his name as well. So, but they've both managed to consume quite a bit of ERS. Preserve a bit of their ERS, whereas Larkin and RJ behind them both sitting on around 40 and 50 respectively. So they've still got about enough ERS to their name, as well as Miami and Lifebout side by side. Miami around the outside of turn number 9. Lifebout has a bit of a scrum out of turn 9 as well. Chris and Marcio both side by side. Of course, Chris on the set of the hards, he's having an inside for the triple rights as well. Marcio around the outside, a little bit of contact between them, not really where you can try and hold it around the outside. Of course, Matty did it as well on screen to take the lead of this race, and that's allowed him to just sort of surge them out 3.2 seconds up ahead. But yeah, not really where you want to try and hold it around the outside, especially considering the fact that they both have penalties. It's just going to allow you the other guys behind them to try and play a bit of catch up. As all Koskappen goes round, Coxey giving him a bit of a tap in towards turn 1.
And Coxey's lost a place in that as well to Evans. I was about to say Felipe's had a moment somewhere as well, because he dropped 10 seconds off the back of the field, and Marcio's dropped it by himself, and that's a full safety car that we're going to get. We've got 9 laps to go. Let's have a look at the tyre situation. 7 laps all round for the medium runners, and a few hard runners. I think those hard runners are going to come in and put some mediums on surely. Everyone else I think will probably stay out, but I think Marcio just dropped it by himself, just looking at the minimap and the timings on the left hand side. I'm not sure that's what Matty needed right this moment.
I was about to say the hard runners surely, especially if you're Nolan, you've got to come in and take on this another set of mediums now. You could take softs, but they're going to be dead at the end, and possibly at around 60 to 70%. When these tyres even die around sort of 30-40%. So yeah, I'll be surprised if the hard runners do not come in and chuck on a set of the medium tyres. But yeah, Matty, I think, is going to be a bit annoyed that that's come out. He had a 3-second gap to screen behind him, and now with that safety car, it's just basically made that gap null and void. I don't think, as you say, we'll see any of the medium runners make their way into the pits. I was to say that though, they are all coming in. They are all coming in. Other than Matty, they've all come in.
And the 2 Aston Martins have stayed out. Rex has stayed out. This is going to completely shake the order. Miami is going to queue behind his teammate again. If I was Miami, I'd have just stayed out here. And no one else is staying out. He's driving like a man who's, I don't want to say lost his head a little bit, but it is a no-brainer you pit there. You get the track position, sure, but oh no, I know what it is. He's got himself ahead of Larkin. But there we go. We've got Felipe and Larkin back together on track. I cannot imagine the joy that Larkin is going to see when he rocks up to the back of that AlphaTauri. I suppose Felipe's playing a calculated game there, isn't he, a little bit? But so that has shook the order. Lifebout, big shout out, my man, in P5. That's why you reset and go again. How many spins has he had today with his wings? But he's running in 5th place.
I'm feeling a bit of deja vu here, Jake. This is exactly what was happening in Division 1 as well. Safety car on lap 10, safety car on lap 20, and with about 7 laps left to go, with a lot of guys making their pit stops on the mediums, a couple staying out on the hards. How that ended was an utter chaos.
I think we're going to bother watching Matty when safety car comes in. We're going to watch Felipe and Larkin. I see why Felipe's done what he's done, but also I think the smart thing to do is just, you paint a target on your back, I think, when you stay out in those kinds of situations, because people will see you're on hard. People will have realised you've not pitted, and for that reason people take a certain degree of entitlement with you when it comes to taking your position as Lifebout comes into the pit. I think, people, when you see after a safety car restart at the end of the race, people approach you, if you've not pitted, with a degree of entitlement but also of desperation. And I think everyone behind Felipe will be looking at him and thinking, you're easy pickings, and they will go for moves they wouldn't necessarily otherwise go for. So I see why he's given himself the track position, but I think he's left himself in a very uncomfortable situation for the rest of the race. If his only role or intention in this race is to beat Larkin, then you have to say he's done the right thing, but I think it's too early to be thinking that way. You've got to think of the bigger picture, just of the race itself. I think if you look at the championship, that's too big a picture. I think he's put himself in a tricky situation right now.
Yeah, I mean, even if he did make a pit stop, he'd be behind Coscap and May. I mean, he might have ended up jumping to both of Miami and Ben JS because they both had to stack. But I don't know. I feel like Nolan's made the wrong call. I'm fully against what he's done, to be honest with you. I say against it. I'm more saying that he's made a mistake for sure, and he's going to be eaten up by the rest of the medium runners. Like you say, they may try and go for stupid moves, which then could force him into a mistake, but at the same time, we saw what happened on the first safety car restart. Nolan got ate up by the rest of the medium runners. Now on 11 lap old hards compared to 1 lap old mediums. Yeah, Nolan, I think, is just going to be... I think that's... I'd be surprised if he gets a point at this point. He might jump Chris, but that's about it. The rest of the medium runners up in front, I mean, Scream's in a pretty decent position. 9 laps compared to them 1 lap medium tyres. I still feel like Matty could take this win. It just depends how quick Scream can move past the rest of these medium runners.
Yeah, we've got 4 schools in this race. We've got the front 4 on 9 lap mediums, then we've got the 1 lap mediums, we've got the 11 lap hards, we've got the 5 lap mediums. So when is Matty going to go? I think, again, it worked well for him going late. No need to do any fancier this time. Just go at the same point again. And I think he is. He's going to wait until he comes through the last corner, and there he goes. He drops the throttle and lets loose as we've got 7 laps to go here at Abu Dhabi, and it's Matt who leads from Evans, from Coxey, the 2 Aston Martins, and Rex in behind. And let's have a look at that AlphaTauri, and look how little traction Nolan's got off the first corner. He's already dropped 7 tenths behind Felipe, and I think this is going to be the easiest move Larkin's ever made into turn 5, potentially. How hard does Nolan want to fight this one? Larkin's going to go around the outside. Nolan stays to the inside, and he's got no choice but to let that one go. And he's going to find himself very vulnerable to Chris now, to Lix, and to Tope as well. Sweeros, Miami, they're all going to come for him on those 11 lap hards. But speaking of coming from, look at the little horde that Lix has got forming behind him right now. Scream and Luke going at it into turn 6, and Scream has got the inside for 7. He's going to make that for P5. Felipe is battling away with Chris for his life, holding on to P9. And he's having to dump all of his air. So he's already down to 45% as they hit turn 9. And we've not even had a full racing lap yet. But he's hanging on desperately just for 4 championship points. I think I agree with you, Jack. He's not going to be getting even 1 by the end of this race at the current rate. Matty has fended off the attacks of the Aston Martins behind him so far. His lead stands at half a second, but no one is more than 4 tenths, 5 tenths back behind him, all the way down to Larkin. And look at Chris, he's pushing Felipe round turn 14 into 15, flat out. Is he going to be a lunge into 16? No, he's going to let Felipe defend and then perhaps tuck in for the last corner. And they're all squabbling like kids in a candy shop to get past that AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Chris though trying to go around the outside in towards turn 1. He might have even done it. Nolan though pushes him pretty much.
He's got to give that back. His licks is gone.
Yeah, that's going to have to. Yeah, Koskappen and Licks both around as well. I think Chris is going to pick up a penalty if he doesn't give that position back. Here we go though, Tope trying to go around the outside now of Nolan and towards turn 4 as that's another spinner. That's the other AlphaTauri of Luke, and Miami down the inside of Nolan as well. Didn't even quack that one. Miami getting a double overtake on both Tope and Nolan, so Miami's now up into 9th. I think a little bit of contact that went on. I'm not sure what happened with that, but now Miami gonna try and chase down Chris. Tope looking to see if he can go for the move on Nolan as well. Nolan going very deep in towards the chicane, loses that position to Tope, and Nolan having a bit of a squirm as well. Sweet Ross and Lifeboat both side by side. Lifeboat trying to hold it down the inside of Sweet, coming through the chicane as well, and Lifeboat now up into 12th. In fact, might even go for this move on Nolan as well. You can see how much speed difference he's got. Just very bad through the final sector with those low wings. But at the moment, Matty still holding the lead of this race. Evans is doing a good job of keeping up with him. Of course, Evans sitting, I think he was in 4th or 5th in the championship standing, so he's still going to be having a decent promotion. Sorry, he's 7th in the championship, but not that far behind the rest of the other guys, other than Nolan, of course. So he's in a decent position as well. Nolan, though, is now almost on the verge of losing out to any sort of points for this evening. He's already 1.1 seconds behind Tope. Miami setting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 26.5, and is also crawled onto the back of the DRS of Chris. And Chris already, after 3 laps of racing, has that red flashing light on the back of his car with no DRS either.
I think they're all very low on DRS. Miami's on 25%. The leaders are doing a better situation. Here goes Scream up the inside of Rex. Speaking of the leaders for P4, Scream's been there or thereabouts all race, and I said I'd put money on him not finishing inside the top 10. I'm very happy to say he's proven me wrong so far with 5 laps to go. He is in P4 and running an absolute treat of a race. His Licks at Koskappen come in and put on some soft tyres. Let's have a look at Lifeboat. Passes Felipe on the straight down towards turn 6. Gets that move done. Does he get the car stopped and turned in? He does indeed. And the Sweet Ross can make a move here. The AlphaTauri is staring at a pointless race if things don't go their way ahead of him. As Larkin passes Rex now. Another move on the Alfa Romeo on this lap. Clean around the outside goes Larkin. That was a bold and a brave and a fabulous move as well. He's into P5 and he's got Scream in his sights as well. Larkin's had no shortage of adventurous races this season. Miami's into the wall and out of the race, and that will save the AlphaTauris. We have got another full safety car. Do you come in and put some softs on? Larkin is something has happened to Larkin. He's down in P10. Matty's fallen all the way down to P8 as well. And Tope has got some kind of warning to let cars go. Matty's back through. Matty's into the pits. He's got a 3-second penalty as well. Larkin is staying out. We've got Chris in. Matty's in. Lifeboat and Felipe are all coming in for softs. Something happened to Larkin on that lap. Something happened to Matty on that lap. And we saw a DNF for Miami, which I'm not sure if it involved another car or not. It was a strange place to drop it. But 3 big moments there for 3 cars that have shaped the race. Miami with a causing a safety car, Matty dropping it from the lead, and Larkin dropping it from P4. And in all of that, we've got now a horde of cars on softs and Matty on fresh mediums as well. Oh, and we're going to have 2 laps of racing.
I'll tell you what happened, because I was on board with that battle with Miami, and it was actually Chris. Both of them were side by side. Chris was on the inside through the loop, and Miami on the outside of that loop as well. Miami tried holding it down the inside of the triple rights, understeered unfortunately into the side of Chris, which then spun him around. And Miami, of course, now out of the race. Not sure what happened with Tope, not sure what happened with Larkin, but I caught the end of it with Matty. He spun it out of the out of the second left on the double lefts under the hotel, under the bridge. And Matty now, unfortunately, down to 11th. I don't know why he chopped on a fresh set of mediums instead of softs. So Matty, I think, from going to looking to win this race, I think he's now not even going to get a point. Nolan as well, I don't think he's also getting a point. I think because he made that pit stop again, he's now not, I think it's pretty much confirmed, he is not getting a point. Well, obviously, other than the guys have those penalties, but they can probably get those removed because I'm pretty sure they got them when they were going into the pits. So they may be able to get those penalties removed. And I think the same goes for Coxey. It's a 1-2 for Aston Martin at the moment, and Chris all over the back of him. Scream all over the back of him.
Koskapin and Licks are in a bit of a predicament here. Koskapin's a minute off the lead. Safety car will be in at the end of this lap, regardless of whether he's caught up or not. He can't afford to linger. He needs to get a shift on. He needs to hope Evans backs the pack up like crazy in Sector 3. On Matty, if you can see where Koskapin is right now, if you just use that curb too much on the inside of turn 14, it can just spit you out a bit of an auto spin curb. Don't tend to get too many in the F1 game now, but that is one of them, because I've come victim to it. Latifi corner, as it were. Coxey's got that 3-second penalty. It may yet be removed if it's an instant 3-second for the pit entry. Permitting he's not got further warning, so we will get a safety car in this lap message in around 6 or 7 seconds, a little bit less. There we go. And I don't think Koskapin is going to catch up in time. He's certainly not going to catch up in time with a healthy set of soft tyres. He's going to have to use them up to catch up to the back of this pack. And we said earlier on, the softs really do not want to last around this track. So it's going to be Evans, who won at Abu Dhabi last season, didn't we? We've neglected to mention that. He won the last race of last season at Abu Dhabi. So he's heading for back-to-back Emirati victories. And we've had Matty lead them out for the last 2 safety car restarts. You're Evans, you've got your rear gunners behind you. How are you feeling this? You're on 14 lap softs, mediums, but you've got Scream on 8 lap fresher tyres. How do you play this?
I think he should sort of try and hope that Coxey can just do what he can. I think Evans, if anything, best for him to go as late as possible. Try and get the most out of the rest of these medium tyres. He's gone out of the final corner now, so they've gone. Coxey has followed suit. They've all kind of read each other, but Rex and RJ both get caught napping. Larkin manages to claw to the back of Tope. It's been a fairly again, a nice clean safety car restart. Licks didn't catch up, and neither did Koskapin. In fact, Koskapin has gone round out of the penultimate corner as well, so that's another spin for him. And again, that's pretty certified, no points for him. As here we go, Larkin trying to go around the outside, down the inside, of Tope. Through the, out of turn 5, as it Koskapin into the pits and retired from the session. Matty now getting a move done on Sweet Ross. Matty now on those mediums, even though they're not
here
exactly,
comes Lifeboat.
I'm still surprised he did it.
Lifeboat, look at those wings! Lifeboat making 2 moves and then hitting the back of Sweet Ross, who hits the back of Luke. And there's a concertina as Matty and Sweet Ross come to blows through turn 6 and 7. Luke is still on the attack. He's behind Tope on the run towards turn 9. He's going to look around the outside. I think Larkin's looking around the outside of RJ, possibly up ahead. And can Luke tuck under Tope here? They've got to be careful of Chris, and look at Chris on his soft tyres. RJ passes Rex up ahead, and is there going to be even more contact at Miami-esque as they come through 11 and into 12? Chris is looking for something, anything, kind of a move that he can make. Lifeboat goes off at turn 12. Rex has left the session. Luke's picked up a penalty. That could be very costly, although Chris and Matty have penalties behind him. And then into turn 15. Chris still can't find a way through. Rex is into the pits because he's disconnected. That is rotten luck for him. And we're on to the last lap here. Evans has an 8/10 per second lead. I think he's got this one wrapped up, I tentatively want to say. But behind him, it is anyone's guess. Felipe's in 12th place. Ross is in 11th. Lifeboat in 10th. Be watchful of those wings when they come into effect. Down towards 5 and 6, and Scream is having a look at Coxey, and might RJ think about making a similar move? They're all going to just dump their ERS down this straight, and Scream, has he played this too early? He could find himself under double attack here towards turn 6. I think Coxey's used all his ERS. It's just going to be Ross. RJW Video is going to send this, and he makes the move for the podium place, but Coxey's not going to give that one up. He has to concede. He doesn't concede. He turns the Red Bull round, and that is shambolic from Ariel Coxey, but it's opened the window for ERT Larkin to go around the outside here and nab a late podium place. And after whatever mistake he made, he's going to take P3. Lifeboat passes Chris for P8. Luke's up into 6th now after being 14th early, just a few laps ago. Lifeboat goes very wide. And but through all of it, Evans Joshua is going to take a remarkably unlikely victory. Where's he started? He started in P17, and through the shenanigans and the madness and the chaos and the clutch moves. It's going to be Evans Joshua for the second time in a row in Abu Dhabi in D2. Takes victory. Scream is second. Larkin's third. Tobe is fourth. Luke is fifth in the end. In fact, no, it's Sweet Ross is fifth. Felipe takes P6 with the penalties.
Nolan got sixth in the end of all of that. Sweet Ross in fifth as well. Wow, okay, that all kicked off right at the end then. So, Evans, yeah, driver of the day. You know what, fair play. I'm in agreement with that. 17 points of the lead of the race is ridiculous. Scream, in my opinion, I knew he would be able to finish on the podium, and he certainly held that one in the end as well, finishing in second, and Larkin taking the final podium position. What a race that was, Jake. I can't believe it. Even towards the end of that, Tope in fourth from 16th on the grid, Sweeros from 13th on the grid in fifth. Nolan, I don't know how on earth that worked out slightly in his favour, but he ended up still finishing in sixth and not dropping as many points as what I thought he would do on the back of Larkin. RJ finished in seventh after that contact with Coxey. Very unfortunate, because that was looking like that was going to be a third position for RJ for sure. I'm surprised Coxey ended up holding that out as well. Luke in 8th, Matty in 9th, Chris in 10th, Lifebat in 11th, and Licks picking up the final points position with the fastest lap as well. I say Coxey in 13th, Rex in 14th, Ben JS DNFing on the second to last lap as well. Miami, Marcio, Brent, Rezify and T-Brum all DNFing after that as well. Yeah, Evans, I mean, it's fully deserved for him, but that's such a scrappy end to a race.
It was D1 all over again, wasn't it? Safety cars and LOE this season, not a good mix. But Evans Joshua wins from 17th on the grid. That screams second, Larkin third, Tope fourth, Swee Ross fifth, Felipe sixth, RJ seventh, and then the penalties. Luke 8th, Matty 9th, Chris 10th, Lifebout 11th. Somehow gets points in that race. Licks 12th, and fastest lap, so doubles up his tally for today. Coxey 13th, Rex 14th, Koskappen 15th, and then DNFers. Miami, Marcio, Brent, Rezify and T-Rum. Feels so long ago we had Rezify and T-Brum in that fight for P2 early doors, and then they fell away. We have added our podium finishers to the combox, but we'll see if anyone fancies dropping by. Otherwise, we'll just have to awkwardly fill the chatter a little bit before they arrive. Oh, actually, no, let's talk about next week. Next week, Monaco makes its annual or bi-seasonal return to the calendar. Without you, which is very sad. I'll have to commentate with Old School 3000 or someone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think you'll be able to, because I think he'll be racing.
Oh yeah, he's in D4. I'll just suffer my way through it.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, if that's what Abu Dhabi is providing, then I feel like Monaco is going to be much more interesting. In fact, I've just gotten a message from Nolan. He had orange side pod damage from that contact that happened with Rezify, because of Rezify DNFing off of the side of Nolan. He had that side pod damage for the rest of that race. So to still come back with P6 is ridiculous, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say, to be honest with you. That was an insane race. Monaco's Monaco, isn't it, really? So it's either going to be a very chaotic race, or it's going to be probably the dullest race of the season.
I think it will be an exciting one. I see no reason why it won't be chaotic. I mean, even if it's a train, it's Monaco usually throws up something or other. There's never a dull Monaco race. There is in real life, not in league racing. And we have got our podium finishers, or at least our first and third, in the party. We've got Evans here and Larkin here, so I no longer have to awkwardly talk my way through the void. Shall we start with our third place finisher and work our way up? So let's start with Mr. ERT Larkin. My first question to you is what happened just before the safety car came out? Because you were fourth and then you were seventh. What happened there?
Is that the very final safety car?
Yes.
Yeah, going through those two left-handers in the final sector, I went a little bit sideways, almost like half saving it, and I don't know who was behind me at the time, but they were obviously coming through it normally, they ploughed into the back of me and gave me wing damage, rear wing damage, and spun me around.
It's become a bit of a regular occurrence for you this season, making those little mistakes. I think we saw them at Silverstone.
Right now as well.
Yeah, so you need to. I think if you want to sustain that title challenge, not to, preach it, but as someone who has won a D2 title, I know you have as well. But I think you need to eliminate those from your game going forward. My second question is, what did you think when you safety car gets deployed, you come in round whatever, and you come out of the pits and you see that it's Ariel Felipe ahead of you, given the contact a few laps before? What was going through your head there?
I did mention that. I figured it might have been a deliberate tactic from him, since he was on old hards by that point. Maybe he knew what he'd be able to do. But yeah, I mean, fair play to Nolan, because he defended it from me, but he didn't go overboard or anything straight after, and I was able to obviously use the tyre advantage and the fresh tyres just to sweep round and get past him without any major dramas.
Very nice. Jack, do you have anything to ask our P3 man?
Yeah, you tried putting Monaco on the calendar at a time where you thought you was going to be on holiday, but you're not on holiday. How's Monaco going to go for you next week then?
Honestly, it's. I feel bad for the other probably the other 10 drivers that are going to be on the track with me, because my plan is probably going to end up being put a set of hards on and just never pit. And we'll see what happens. I'm genuinely terrible around Monaco. I'm so scared of the walls that I'll just drive in the middle of the tracks like one of them grannies that are on their way to Tesco's on a Sunday morning and just piss everyone off. So yeah, that'll be me. Unrelated to that, I just want to say congratulations to Evans, Joshua, and the Scream for P1 and P2. They're guys who quite often get terrible luck, and it's very nice to see them getting a result that sort of justifies their ability.
Well, let's move on to P2 and P3. That Scream, congratulations on the podium. How was that race for you?
I think it was pretty good. The whole qualifying and the race, I had I would say, a strong pace. And at the end I was happy that I was in P2 and Tobe in P4 at the end.
Well, I'll ask you what I asked Larkin, or what Jack asked Larkin. How are you feeling about Monaco? Because it's one of those tracks that drivers either love or they hate. Do you love it or do you hate it?
I definitely hate it. I race with my pet, so it's absolutely annoying for me to drive around Monaco. And yeah.
Well, I think we're all in the same situation there. I'm also on a pad, so we'll see how that goes for me. Jack, do you have anything to ask of our second place drive?
Yeah, I mean, just within that race in general, I think that's probably the highest I've seen you qualify in Division 2. When you was battling the lead with Matty, I think it was on the first or second safety car restart, both going side by side. I think it was through the triple rise. You both made it work, but was there a chance? Was there a thought that you might be able to try and jump back ahead of Matty? Of course, I mean, you finished ahead of him in the end anyway. But was there any sort of game plan to just sit behind him, just chill and wait for a moment to strike?
Yeah, at first I thought I would like to stay behind him and to save my ARS, but his pace was too good at the end. So after the second safety car, I would say, he had a solid pace, and I couldn't get him.
Well, congratulations! Thank you for joining us in the interviews. As James would say, go off and enjoy your evening. Congratulations. Let's turn to our winner, Evans Joshua. Back-to-back Abu Dhabi wins. This track's become a bit of a specialty for you. Given how qualifying went, was that ever something you would have expected to happen the way that race went?
Yeah. Since I've been doing no line for the past year or so now. I've never been good at qualifying. I don't put in the time anymore as I used to learn a qualifying pace. I'm always more about just the race pace and getting on with that. So I basically just use quali as just to warm up and focus on the race. I know I'm not very good at quali, so I just take it as it is and just focus on the race. And I knew after last season there was going to be a good few incidents, so I wasn't too stressed about it. I had a cracking start off the line, but got boxed in, which was a bit annoying. And then I made my own mistake as well. I spun in turn 3. It felt like McDonald's trays in a car park going around the right-hander and lost it. So that happened. I thought, there'll be a safety car eventually because there was everyone still on track. I just waited patiently, caught up to a few people who were a bit with the stragglers, just a bit further away from the main pack. I had a little battle with them, which was a bit of good fun, a bit stressful. And then when the safety car came out, it was good for tyres. Everyone did the same strat, and then I just chipped away from there.
I think Jack said earlier on stream you were 5th in the championship coming into this race. Obviously, the win will have done you no end of good, and you threatened really strong results last season, and obviously ended with the victory. Do you think this could be a season for a title challenge? I know you say you're not big on practicing qualifying or necessarily having good qualifying, but the race results seem to be there so far. Do you think this could be your season overall?
Could be. There's a lot of people who would have a lot more care for it, so it'd be hard for me to take it. But yeah, I mostly just race my leagues now as more as a good bit of fun, and I'm enjoying it more that way, and doing a few team events here and there for my nationality. But I'm just doing it more for myself now, and I'm not really challenging for it. I wouldn't say, just going along with it as it goes.
Best attitude to have, in my opinion. Jack, do you have anything to ask our race winner?
Yeah, you mentioned the nationality, the RDR boys. Are we going to see any more of them guys maybe join very soon? Because
could do.
It's always nice, obviously, speaking to a few of them. But I'm sure they'll probably be quite ecstatic about the win for this evening for you.
Yeah, you could see a few of them come through. We'll have to see about that in the future as we sign some more. But yeah, it's just nice now to be in a state where just in a good place with it, where I'm not pressuring myself to do well for bigger teams that are expecting more. I'm just happy being with people who I know as friends outside of just league racing and getting on and having a good fun with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, congratulations, obviously, for your win for this evening.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for your time, too.
Thank you. Well, we've already done the post amble. We've looked forward to Monaco. Said Jack won't be there. I will be there. So tune in next week, same time, 8:10 UK time, and also for Division 4 with QVR Packer and QVR Verstappen, and then Division 1 with James Head 14 and the other bloke, Old School 3000, and Division 3 with Jess Gaver 95 and Evil Dragon. They will, and I will see you next week. Until then, thank you for tuning in, and auf Wiedersehen.